Hello and welcome to episode 1 of All Things Rift. Just imagine that there's like lightning and rain and stuff coming out of a really cool logo that says All Things Rift, and I promise I'll get my personal graphic designer right on that. Anyway, today I'll be covering the latest patch, news from the web, and a little known quest in Freemarch, but first I'm talking about specking. And since everyone is new to Rift, I'm going to start with the basics of how specking works. Now, like other games, Rift has abilities, talents, and a talent tree. And you can visit class trainers to train new ranks in your abilities and improve them as you level. You can also gain 1 talent point per level to put into your talent tree, and a bonus point every 3 levels. Now, here's where the game differs from a lot of other MMOs. You don't gain new abilities as you level. You only gain new abilities as you assign your talents. Now, the talent tree itself is broken into 2 parts. On top is the talents, and on the bottom are the abilities. Now, abilities that you haven't opened in a tree yet, they have a red number over them, and it tells you the total amount of points you have to have spent in the tree in order to acquire the ability. Now, just a note, if you open a 6-point ability at level 40, you'll be able to train new ranks of that ability immediately at your class trainer. Different trees and rifts are called souls, and when you create your character, you will choose from one of 4 classes, either a mage, cleric, warrior, or rogue that all have different souls. When you enter the game and complete your first quest, you get to choose your first soul from a list of 8. And this will give you your first talent tree, which you'll be able to access at level 2. Now, as you do the quests in your starting zone, you will get to choose 2 more souls. One is at level 3 and one at level 5. It doesn't make any difference what order you choose these souls in terms of your build and such down the road. You don't need to assign your first points to the soul that you take either if you don't want to. You can actually assign your talent points in any way you wish as you level your character. The only rule regarding where you assign your points is that you can't have more points in one tree than your current level until you reach the level cap, at which time you can have 51 points in a tree. So basically, if you're level 6, you get your extra point, but if you've put all of your points into one tree, you won't be able to assign your bonus point, your 7th point, in that same tree because you can't have 7 points in a tree when you're level 6, so you'd have to put it elsewhere. Otherwise, you can assign your bonus point anywhere you want. Now, finally, the game also has separate roles. You can talk to a class trainer to purchase your new roles, and each character can have up to 4, and this is basically like a dual spec kind of thing. You can switch between roles anytime you want. You can fill your roles with completely different souls and builds. Now, to get new souls, you just check out your faction's capital city. You'll find quest givers for each soul of all of the different classes. You take a quest, you complete the quest, and then you get that new soul that you can put into a different role, or not. You can just have them there for a rainy day or whatever. It's totally up to you. The ability to get new roles is part of why I suggest that while you start your character, you think strongly about soloing and leveling. It's a good idea to take a pet if there's one available to your class, or healing powers or such, just to make it easy for you to level, because it's very easy later on to switch roles for when you want to go into dungeons or what have you. There are a lot of quests that are pretty difficult to solo in Rift, so having a pet or healing powers and such in your first spec is really quite helpful. Okay, and those are the basics of specking, and next time I'll be taking a look at a specific build for leveling a mage. And next up, we're looking at a quest in Freemarch. Now, this is a quest that I don't think a lot of people know about this quest. And here I am with my level 8 rogue. I'm standing behind the southern portal near the Ark of the Ascended. Now, behind me is an outlet that extends quite a ways into the ocean, and that's where I'm headed. At the end of the outlet, I find this unsettling icon, which is standing here being rather unsettling, and that, of course, makes me want to kill it. Now, unfortunately, the unsettling icon has this amazing security system attached, which spawns skeletons to attack me. Now, with this rogue, I kind of chose to ignore my own advice, and I have no pet, I have no healing. I figured I'd go with a full-on DPS spec, hoping that between stealth, incapacitate, and a really amazing ability to kill things quickly, I should do just fine. And you know, it seems to work out for the most part, Except that stealth and incapacitate really don't help me much when the unsettling icon is spawning lots of skeletons. So hopefully I'll get through it. And yeah, that ended badly. But just when it would seem that I've been foiled by the unsettling icon, I do something it never expected. I soul walk down the last skeleton and steal the loot. Now among the drops is the unsettling icon fragment, which offers a quest called Unsettling Icon. And this quest will give you 1080 XP just to walk over to Greta Green and turn it in. I guess Greta finds this particular unsettling icon fragment really quite interesting. And that's it for the quest of the week. Moving on to news. There are some really nice reviews popping up on the web about Rift. At pc.ign.com, we have, at least at the time of this recording, a 7-page marathon from Nick Colin. Nick is promising more. There might already be more up by the time this gets posted. Nick's review is ongoing. He has not given any conclusion on what he thinks of the game, and Nick is clearly taking a lot of time to dive into a lot of aspects of the game. So he's, I think, doing a great job with it, and his review's been pretty positive so far. Now, over at GamePro.com, there's also a first 10-day write-up with future editions promised. There's no rating as of yet, but author Julian Rignall is also positive, and she states, quote, "So far, the first 10 days have been a lot of fun," unquote. And I apologize if Julian Rignall is a man. Then that's what he stated. At any rate, over at massively.joystick.com, there's really no news at all. Massively covered Rift really quite well up until February 24th, and then has a very odd silence about it. There was a post up yesterday about how the pricing has been extended, the Founders pricing, which, by the way, has been extended to March 31st. So if you're thinking about subscribing, now's the time to do it. You can get locked into cheaper pricing by purchasing 3 months or 6 months in advance. Now, over at MMORPG.com, there are some first impressions from a few staff writers. Bill Murphy states, "I maintain my stance that Rift is a game for people who love the traditional take on MMORPGs and want something new with a mix of innovation and standards to play. It is not a title for those disenfranchised with the old guard, and therefore if you find yourself waiting on a true revolution in how these games are played, I'd suggest you steer clear. If, on the other hand, you have fond memories of EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings, and you are merely craving something new along those more traditional lines, I highly suggest you give Rift a shot. It's easily one of the most polished and fully fleshed out titles to be released in years." Bill gives the game a very strong buy it recommendation. Thanks, Bill. Now also Susie Ford over at MMORPG.com writes, "To sum it up, Rift is a great game for those who like traditional high fantasy MMOs. It's patently obvious that Rift isn't really trying to be earth-shatteringly innovative, but is trying to be better than what's already out there by blending together and improving on the best features of MMO games of the past. The dev team has nearly perfected those features and thrown in a bit of innovation on top just for fun." And finally, Richard Dufek writes, "So in the end, it comes down to what you're looking for in a game. If you're looking for one of the best-made MMORPGs to hit the market, if you're looking for a game you can just jump right into and not have to learn about new features and such, this is definitely the game for you. If you've been around the genre for quite a while like I have and are looking for a game that's going to revolutionize the genre and introduce tons of new features and innovations, then you'll be better off looking elsewhere." Oh, yeah, that quote I just read by Richard Dufek actually wasn't written about Rift. It was written in 2004 about a little game called World of Warcraft. Now, I don't know if the people over at MMORPG.com re-released this look at WoW during Rift's first official week intentionally or purely by coincidence, but the similarities in what people are saying about Rift compared to WoW are actually quite striking. Now, if you're a fan of Rift, if you're a fan of WoW, or if you're a fan of MMOs in general, I'd recommend heading on over to MMORPG.com and check out the WoW First Impressions. It's in the Wayback Machine column by Bill Murphy, and it's definitely an interesting read. And finally, some news from the forums. First off, phishing is a big deal. Rift is a popular game, which means that the scammers, the gold sellers, and everybody else has already jumped on it. Now, there is a lot of information about phishing out there. Be very careful who you give your account password to and such and so on. Make sure when you're logging in or talking about any of your account information, you are one of the following 3 websites, either riftgame.com, tryonworlds.com, tryonworlds.custhelp.com. That was custhelp.com. And the .com's pretty important because if I'm not mistaken, one of the scammers was at riftgame.net, which currently is shut down. There is no riftgame.net currently, but just be careful. Make sure that you're at one of those 3 sites, and they are all .coms. Okay, next up, yesterday, patch 1.01 dropped. Yay! And there were a lot of tweaks and changes, but a couple of really big ones. First off, Rift XP has been raised to, quote, beta levels, unquote. But it has been reduced for large groups. Now, I have not had a chance to go in yet and figure out what they mean by beta levels. The Rift XP was actually tweaked a few times during beta, so I have no idea what they're talking about. But here's my best guess, without having figured it out yet, is that probably it's around the level of 1 to 4 times the normal Quest XP at your level to do a Rift. That's about what I was getting during one of the betas. I could get anywhere between 1 and 4 times Quest XP for my level. And then, they've scaled it so that if you're going in a particularly large group and running around doing all the rifts, you're not going to get massive amounts of XP. My guess is that's probably why they turned it down in the first place, the XP levels, was because that's exactly what people were doing, and they wanted to get that fixed so nobody could just cheaply level through really, really quickly. Now, another notable fix in this patch is that if you go to forage Kingswood logs, you'll actually get Kingswood. So that's a pretty nice improvement. Now, what we don't have yet in this patch is a fix on potions timers. There is a thread that started back on February 25th by Gradient, and the thread's entitled Shared Cooldowns Make 90% of Apothecary Products Pointless. And that, of course, is exactly what it's about. Now, back on March 5th, developer Gersh basically agreed, and he said, quote, potions were never supposed to be on 100% shared cooldowns. Thanks to player reports, we were able to find the bug with the issue, and hopefully we'll have it fixed in an upcoming patch. Unquote. But as of now, still no fix. No reason to disbelieve Gersh, so hopefully that'll be showing up soon. Elsewhere on the forums, there was a great write-up by Raychiact in a thread called Ever Wonder How Many Soul Combos There Are? And that's about soul combos. And he gives the algebraic formula that comes up with the total number of possible combinations per class, not including the PvP soul. There are currently 56 possible soul combinations per class. And for anyone who says that there just isn't enough variety in Rift because one character can have all the souls spread out over their 4 rolls, just to point out, to have all the soul combinations, you'd actually have to have 14 characters in the same class. All right, and this doesn't even take into consideration the fact that my Warden Sentinel Druid could be completely different than your Warden Sentinel Druid, depending on how we spend our points. And that is all she wrote for this week. Episode 1 of All Things Rift is in the can. Thank you very much for watching. Tune in for more episodes coming soon, and have a great day.